This is the Big Fish Cares podcast. Big Fish Cares podcast. And here's your host, Benny Fisher.
Today's special guest is a good friend of mine now I've met through the NFT space. He's had 3 marriages, 2 wives. When he was a child, his dad tried to commit suicide but failed at it. I can't wait to hear about that. He's the founder and the host of CryptoRadioNetwork.io. If you put in .com, it will get you there, I found out. Sal DiGuardia. Sal DiGuardia, welcome to the show. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good, Benny Fisher. How are you?
I am doing amazing. This has been a long time coming. I remember when I listened to you in Clubhouse long ago. I feel like it's been probably a year. And I remember hearing your voice, and I'm like, man, that guy's got a voice for radio. And I didn't really know you at the time, and now I realize that's because he was on the radio.
I was. I did as a young man. I was on radio for about, 11 years, bouncing around the Southwest like a rock star. It was pretty cool.
We got to get to the, me. I like to dive deep with people's past, presents, and futures.
Sure.
And because a lot of times with the people that are listening, everyone's dealing with something. Everyone thinks, they're the only ones. And what we've come to find out that there's some similarities in people's stories, there's some differences, but there's a lot of things that we can learn from other stories about things that we don't necessarily just openly share about in just everyday life. So I always wanted to dig deep because Big Fish does care about people, and he's very inspired by everyone's story, regardless of who they are, where they come from, where they're at in life, where they're going in life.
Right.
I think it's all fascinating. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate the friendship over the last year in the NFT space.
Yeah, man, I appreciate you too. It's been a remarkable journey, and such a joy to get to know you. And yeah, I'm ready. Let's do it, man. Let's go deep.
So tell me, where were you born? Tell me about who's mom and dad. Tell me where you're born, brothers, sisters. Give me some of that background.
Yeah, mom and dad, both from New York. The family migrated over to the U.S. from Italy, Sicily, specifically on my dad's side, Ireland on my mom's side, in the late 20s, 30s, landed in Harlem. I was born in Long Island, so where a lot of really talented folks come from. Chris Angel, Jerry Seinfeld, to name a few, a couple, Billy Joel.
It's a New York state of mind, right?
It is. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I think Lady Gaga spent some time on Long Island. I could be wrong, but that's. I was there for 5 seconds, and then family moved us out to Arizona. We went to go visit my godfather, who had just moved out with his family. They put up an Italian restaurant in Tucson, Arizona.
Hold on, I got a speculation. Yeah. All right, from New York.
Yep.
DiGuardia sounds like a mob name. You have a godfather that's in Arizona. Do you think he was in witness protection? Let me just ask you. Was he in witness protection and he opened up a restaurant in Arizona? I mean, is that just where they all go to retire? I mean,
No, that was a legitimate business, I promise. Yeah.
Just asking, the viewers at home are thinking it, so I just say it, okay? Just so
absolutely.
I don't know if you've heard any of these. Whatever the viewers at home are thinking, I say for them because they can't be here to directly ask you the question right now. So I just wanted to get that off.
Yeah, in the NFT space, they call me Sally Ruggs. That's a new nickname actually that just came up yesterday.
I mean, I swear to you, I know you got this new haircut, which I think's hilarious because before you had a little bit more of something that you could have been on The Sopranos with. This you can't fly with The Sopranos.
No,
but you could. But with your previous look, And you guys, if you got to go check out Sal DiGuardia, look at some of his previous pictures. I mean, he could have been Bobby Bacala's cousin or brother or something, man, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's talks of me playing a lead in a mom movie coming up, so we'll talk. I don't know. We'll see if that even
sounds
happens.
good. I mean, you got the look. I mean, you know what I mean. You got the voice. I'm sure you could tweak it a little bit, get back to the old country a little bit.
Yeah, probably. But no, there's no history of mob activity.
I don't know if I know anybody that was really raised in Arizona. I feel like. Everybody went to California, and I feel like they forgot about Arizona. So tell me about Arizona. Tell me what it was like growing up.
Well, I grew up around a lot of mobsters because that's where that is where they all retired. It was Arizona. No, my my dad, he put up an Italian deli again. You know, the Godfather putting up a restaurant, Dad putting up a deli. It was in the middle of, you know, this 5-street town, Tucson, back in the 70s, and they were successful. They were highly successful because there were folks coming out from the East Coast. And but growing up there, I mean, I grew up in an Italian kind of flavor household, and kids didn't understand. Like, none of my friends understood, you know, that I was bringing veal parmesan in a brown sack for my lunch that I had to ask the lunch ladies to heat up. Nor did I know it was a $40 plate, right? And I was embarrassed, and it was weird. But growing up in the food business, that's what you did. We didn't pay for lunch. You know, we didn't buy shit and stuff. So
yeah.
Yeah. So it was a little bit. I was a little bit awkward. I was that kid that, like, you know, my dad thought it would be cool one day to dress me in like green corduroys with like a red, white, and green Italian flag, you know, striped down the side.
Was he trying to get you whacked
weird
by some kid out west?
I mean, a lot of kids picked on me. I was the kid that in second grade, like, they didn't ask. Not only did they not ask me to be on the team, when I tried to go out for flag football, so, like, one of the kids, I will never forget this, Robert Costello. He and we actually talk now as adults, 40 whatever years later. But he talked the coaches into saying no, thank you for flag football in like second grade. So I became a second grade cheerleader, is what I thought would be a good move, and that just made things worse. It was
Did
bad.
you have any brothers or sisters?
One sister growing up, about a year and a half younger.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right. And what mom do? Classic Italian stay-at-home mom?
No, mom. So while they were building their business,
Well, she was Irish, right?
She's Irish. Now, funny, her side of the family actually does come from like horse thieves in Ireland, and her real dad, embezzled.
I knows
like,
Whitey Bulger.
I mean, maybe, but he disappeared.
Departed.
He disappeared in like the 50s, I think. So yeah, she was born in 52. He was gone by 57, 58. He embezzled like hundreds of thousands of dollars out of the Hilton Hotel and in New York, and then just disappeared. So that side of the Irish side actually really were criminals. But
wow.
Yeah. So mom busted her ass though. She worked. She scrubbed bathrooms at Kentucky Fried Chicken at night, you know, while Dad was butchering meat at the grocery store. And then they went back to the deli at 6 o'clock in the morning to open it up, and that's what they did for years until it was successful.
Did you start working in the deli like at what, 4 or 5 years old?
Oh, yeah, 6 years old. I mean, as soon as our crib, literally, because we were still tiny, right? And they couldn't afford childcare. There was no school. So we had a crib in the office, and it filled up the entire floor of the office, this 4x3 room that, we'd pull pasta off the shelves and non-pasta in the crib. And then as soon as I was old enough to see over the counter with a step stool, I was taking orders and ringing people up.
What's the craziest thing that you remember from your early childhood, like, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old? What's the craziest thing that you've seen? Because I mean, you could have seen a lot of stuff. I mean, if your dad's pounding meat and chopping meat up, right? Like, I don't know, like that could be scary, right? Like big knives and stuff like that. And then like, what's the 100%. Scariest thing that you remember seeing when you were a young kid?
My parents had, I think it was Roger. They had a guy named Roger that was working for him, and he put his finger, what they used to do, instead of just hanging on to the guard on a slicer, they thought it was cooler if you just put your hand kind of around the handle, the forward handle, but they'd put their finger on the meat to keep it stabilized. And, and it went right through the blade. Oh, for anybody that gets creeped out, that's a good one. Yeah.
Oh, and you saw
long ways.
And you saw it.
Not the tip. It went long ways through.
Oh, but you can't get that.
And then
back.
they had to turn it off and pull it back in. No. Yeah.
You can't. What?
No.
Then he had to go this way just to get rid of it.
No. I think he's got it. Yeah, I think he's still got the fingers.
Does he still got it? Is he still alive?
Yeah.
Can we cut to a shot of that in post production?
Can we find a picture of this guy?
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. It was one of them. I don't remember exactly who it was. I think it was this guy Roger, but yeah. I mean, fingers in the slicer were like, that happened deal. Once a month. Yeah, that happened all the time.
Put it in the veal for later, give it a little bit of flavor.
Back then.
Oh,
Yeah, back then.
that's wild.
Yeah, there was no OSHA back then.
Yeah, the OSHA's not coming out to see your dad.
No.
Man. Come on.
No.
He's paying him off, right? Greasing the palms.
Now, true story, though. When they opened the deli, it was about 6 months in. Some of the boys from back east, the kids of one of the old men that moved out there, I can't say who, but they showed up one day. Hey, where you from? Who can we call back east? What's your name? Yeah. Yeah.
It's not a good thing when that happens.
It was bad. Yeah, it was bad. But they actually wound up, being they hired us a lot for catering for events.
So what was the place called?
Tony's Italian Deli.
Is your dad's name was Tony?
That's my dad's name.
Or
Tony.
Just everybody be called Tony? I feel like every Italian's got a Tony.
No, he really is Tony. Yeah, so.
I mean, we got Tony and Sal. I mean, like, how more Italian can it be?
Now, the guy that bought it, his name was Mark, but everybody still called him Tony for the next 20 years.
He's like a fake Italian, probably.
Yeah.
He's like a wannabe.
No, he's Italian from Chicago.
Mark? Mark's not an Italian name.
Yeah.
Is it?
Sure.
Nah.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right, so tell me, what was the most adversity that you had to go through as a child, from like 6 to 18? Like, I mean, I know some kids picked on you and stuff, but kids pick on everybody. I mean, we all got picked on.
I mean, it wasn't any easier because my dad wasn't quick to spend money. I didn't want to say thrifty because thrifty is not an accurate word. Like, he just didn't want to spend any money.
But he probably would,
He bought a brand new Monte Carlo every 5 years.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah.
That was pimped out. And he had the white leather shoes. Right?
Yeah.
He dressed.
But he wasn't
dressed
buying
like
you a pair. Yeah, but he wasn't buying you like the new Nikes that came out.
Dressed
was
like a
Nikes
hua.
even around back then?
Yeah,
like,
of course they were.
You?
And
we
went to
how old are you,
Payless.
Sal?
I'm a little older, 48.
How old?
There were Nikes
48?
back then. Yeah.
Hey, man, I don't know when they came
Junior
out.
high. Yeah, junior high Jordans came
I know
out.
Jordans didn't become popular until like 86, 87. So, like, I mean, you would have had some of those in high school.
Yeah, junior high.
Yeah, there you go.
But I didn't. So we had to shop at Payless. So I got, instead of the Reebok, remember Reeboks? They had the
I
little
remember the Reebok.
window with the label in it on the side.
Yeah.
There were Pro Wings were the knockoff. And they
right.
looked almost like them. Not really, but they fell apart.
The blue light special at Kmart,
We shopped a lot at Kmart. We shopped a lot at Goodwill. And, kids just...
Back then, it wasn't as big a deal, though, I don't think. Nowadays, I feel bad for kids.
Yeah, maybe not.
You know what I mean? Like, back then, I don't even think kids knew. Like, I mean, we didn't have social media. We didn't have the news. I mean, like, you knew a little bit, right? But, I mean, I don't remember it being that bad.
What I really went through, though, was there was a period in high school where I was kind of, goofing off a little bit and started getting behind and really started to, I just started to lose a good handle on, like, what's my future going to look like. It was about a year into high school, maybe. And so started junior year with sophomore credits and, the rest of the story. But the next 2 years was really trying because my dad attempted suicide. And so the last year and a half of school, I was completely checked out, emotionally.
Wow. That sounds, I mean, I know we were having some fun before, but that sounds pretty tough.
That was rough.
Did you see it?
I had to go to the scene because the cops showed up. So at the time, my grandmother was living with us. She was she really was a traditional, old world Italian. She just worked, 2 20-year jobs back to back in the factory and went home and made sauce, right? That's what she did every day for 40 years.
Sunday red sauce, baby.
Sunday red sauce. So she was very demure and skittish, and the cops show up, bang on the door, and they're like, this is at my house where we grew up. And they're like, there's been an accident and you need to come with us. I was like, well,
so
what the
your
hell?
dad didn't attempt suicide at your house. It was somewhere else. Where was it at?
It was at an apartment complex in the middle of town. And I went with them to the hospital and they said, it's not good. And he had put a 22 to his chin and it kicked back and went in and came out. Right between his eyes. So they had him in ICU, wrapped up, critical ICU. And Dr. Richard Carbona.
Wow. Another Italian.
Another Italian that happened to be in New York. He actually wound up being Surgeon General for Bush or Reagan? Bush.
Really?
And he did some work on my dad, and they said, look, it he may or may not come through it, may or may not have brain damage. We just don't know anything because he was out, but he lived through it. And I had to go to the scene of the crime, but the scene of the accident, and pick up his car that had a bullet hole through the ceiling, freaking brains everywhere on the lining on the inside of the car, blood all down the back quarter panel. And it was just, it was rough.
How old were you? 16?
Yeah, like 16, 17.
So do we know why? I mean, what dad how long was dad okay after that? I mean,
Dad had a lot of pressures, a lot of outside stressors coming at him. So when he first opened his business, he bought it from a Russian outfit guy, like like on Rounders, like KGB,
like Teddy KGB,
like Teddy KGB. It's like whoever Teddy KGB's like second in command is, that was this guy. And he was, running drugs out of the back and doing all kinds of crazy shit for years. And
did you know any of this, or they kept it sheltered?
Oh, no, we had no idea. But they were quote unquote partners for a lot of years. And part of the deal was there was a bad deal that was done, and the guy didn't get any money out of it. So he comes back like 20 years later. Where's my $100,000, or whatever it was. And at the time we were trying to build on an addition on the house, and it was almost done. I was turning 16, and they wanted to buy me a new car, but they couldn't. So they bought me an old classic that somebody restored. Like, there was just all this other goofy stuff that was happening. And I think he just took the easy out after working that hard and that long. He's a street kid from Brooklyn. Like, he got thrown out of junior high. Like, he didn't even make it to high school. So, dad beat him with a hammer when he was a kid. Right.
Really?
That kind of stuff. Yeah. That's how he grew up.
Did he ever talk about that? I mean, did your old man talk about
all the
that?
time. All the time. And
so what happened after the accident? Like, I guess it wasn't an accident. I mean, we'll call it an accident, but it's not an accident. But like, what? Well, did he recover from that? Was his brain okay?
He did.
I mean, did he have his he could think and like talk and like work and?
He had his marbles, mostly. He had to kind of relearn how to write some words, relearn spelling. But yeah, he actually
did
made
he come
it out
clean and tell you guys why, like right then, or do you keep it kind of hush hush?
That's what he told us. Is a lot of that story just the stressors, and
he thought it was an easy out after that.
So the part of the story is mom and dad split. We didn't, spend a lot of time with him because they only awarded him like Saturdays, at the pool, and that was it. That was all we were allowed to do because it was a danger to be around him.
By that time, you're almost 18, so I mean, you can do whatever you want, right?
Then at 18, 19, I think it was about 2021. Not the year, my age. That I was getting ready to get married. I was working for the deli again. He had already sold it, but we started, spending more time together, but it was just hard. They were divorced, and it was bitter, and there was a lot of bad blood there between mom and dad. A lot of cheating, some goofy stuff that went on there, and a lot of drug use over the years. So it was tough for them to reconcile.
What kind of drugs?
Yeah.
Like what kind of drugs? All of them?
A lot of cocaine. They probably
that was back in the 80s, right? That was when cocaine was popular, right?
Huge. I mean, they probably snorted hundreds of thousands of dollars of cocaine.
You and your mom?
No,
not you and your mom. I mean, your dad and your mom, or just your dad?
Yeah, when they were together, yeah.
Oh, wow. So your mom was like a party animal.
I mean, she wasn't at first. She was, great mom. She cooked every night, well, most nights. But
you think it ever made it in Sunday sauce?
Dude, we did sauce.
Let me ask you a question. If you had the Sunday sauce,
4 or 5 times a week.
Were you bouncing off the walls after the pasta?
No. But I will say that.
Do you remember not being able to sleep on Sunday nights?
No, I could go to bed. So what's funny though is as I was growing up, and because there's a jug of wine on the table like that, there's two big boxes of wine.
I mean, like it's
Old Man Kribari is on the fridge. These big
red and white
5-gallon
tablecloth
buckets.
Probably.
At the deli we did, but not at the house. But yeah, I had, honestly, my first drink at probably 5.
Wow.
I think, and then Italian coffee with like Zambuca or Anisette was not uncommon. or mixing wine with soda. It was an Italian family, man. You grew up,
Did after high school, like what'd you want to get into? Did you go to college? Was there any college pressure, or like it was like what'd you do?
When I was a kid, I was 6 years old, Benny, no joke. I used to get up on Saturdays at 6 o'clock in the morning and listen to the countdown. Rick D's and the weekly top 40 countdown.
And the weekly top 40. Not Casey Kasem?
Well, I'd listen to Casey every once in a while, but Rick D's did it for me because he was highly entertaining. He ran a stellar show. And I just thought it was fascinating. I thought it was amazing that he could get that many celebrities in the studio with him to talk to him. The mechanics of radio, like whatever it was about, I just happened to be that kid that just really dug it. And I was, I started pulling apart speakers and microphones and trying to figure out how stuff worked. And that's what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to be on the radio one way or the other. When I first, started kind of trying to figure it out though, as a young man, 18, I was working at McDonald's. So I got out of the deli. I ran down the street to McDonald's because I thought that'd be better.
Yeah.
Although I learned some pretty cool stuff at McDonald's. I really did.
How to
I learned
upsell.
customer service.
Would you like fries with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it sounds basic, but it's finding the right thing, right? So matching the right products to the right people. Also managing a team, trying to figure that out and learning how to do that over time. I'm still not very good at it, but I love learning it. Love the coaching and developing part. And then I actually got a job at a radio station. So I started that career at 22 and got super lucky. I was at a station for about a year as an intern, and then 4 months, not even 3 months on the air.
What do you do as an intern?
Like,
what do you do as an intern at a radio station?
So it depends. I started. Let me give you what real interns do.
Okay,
this is what real interns do. If you're in a journalism program at a college and you want to work for a radio station or something like that, you get to help like produce shows and go out and set up live events, right? Live remotes where they've got, a tent and pens to give out and bumper stickers and all that.
You're like running cables and plugging stuff in and making sure everything works, right? Like you're not doing anything too serious, right?
Yeah, make sure the DJs, have microphones and batteries.
Go get me a water, kid.
That's it. If you're lucky, you might wind up. We know a couple people, in my journey over the years that have gone on from like either U of A or ASU here in Arizona, gone on to work, intern at MTV was like their first gig out of the gate, right? NBC stuff like that.
Yeah.
So they got really, really lucky, but for the most part, yeah, that's how it works. And if you're good, if there's something there, then maybe you get like an overnight weekend shift. You get to do 5 or 6 hours, like overnight on Saturday while everybody else is partying. You're on the air from 10 to 5 in the morning.
Like that was when I remember listening to the radio that late. I remember listening to the radio that late. There was always that space show, like where they like always would like talk about like extraterrestrial stuff. What was it called?
Oh, well, it's George Norrie now. Coast to Coast?
Coast to Coast, yeah. Like you were competing with Coast to Coast.
Oh, totally.
No one ever listened to you. We always listened to George Norrie.
Well, or there was like, the dance party show was on or something like that, right? Like late on Friday or Saturday night. But somebody had to play records after the bars closed, right?
So is that what it was back then, records? Because that was was that before
so that's
cassettes?
What most people do. What I did was totally different.
Oh, what'd you do?
I went to are you ready? Are you sitting down? A Christian radio station that played preaching and teaching programs all day long, 24/7. And I had to put in.
Well, it didn't rub off on you, that's for sure. Did you learn anything while you were Did you learn anything while you were
Of course, I learned a few things,
all right,
Benny.
well, that's good, because I really would like to talk to you about that one day.
I would put the program on. You play it for 25 minutes or whatever, and you got to play commercials for the at the half hour mark or at the top of the hour. Play the news, and then you'd get on and say 2 minutes after the hour on 6. I was trying to do it like Howard Stern on which I forget which one it was. WWW or whatever it was, right?
WWJD. What would Jesus do? .com.
Yeah, exactly. So
.com back then.
And you might be able to tell them, what the weather is and what's coming up, and that's it. You got 60 seconds maybe, and that was it. That was all.
You just played a bunch of stuff.
Just played a bunch of stuff, and then a few months in, they're like, "Hey, do you want to read this commercial?" And it was for I'll never forget it. It was for the Pima County Home and Garden Show. And it was the very, very, very first commercial I ever voiced. And it took us like 8 tries to get it done because the old man sitting behind the board was like, listen, kid, I hear what you're doing, but it's not what you think. It's not, hey, come down to the Pima County Home Garden Show. He's like, you just gotta, like, energy, like smiling, but not, please don't give me the cheese. And so he walked me through it. But we got to a place where he was like, ooh, that's really good, right? It was like that first time. And that led to, all right, let's have you do some more when you can, whenever you can come in here. And after a year of doing that and just showing up, right, just trying to help out wherever I could, they offered me a job to do an afternoon drive, which means like that 2 to 6 slot in the afternoon on the Christian music station. So they had a teaching and talk station, and then they had a Christian pot, like a top 40 station. Yeah. But all, Petra and DC Talk. And
DC Talk, man. I love DC Talk.
Yeah.
Jars
Stephen
of Clay.
Curtis Chapman, Jars of Clay.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Michael W. Smith.
He's still on tour. I just heard from somebody that
Amy Grant. Remember Amy Grant?
I love Amy Grant.
I grew up with all that stuff, man.
I have an Amy Grant story, actually.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll save
I mean, it's not like dirty.
Yeah. Well, it shouldn't be. I would hope not. I mean, you were working for a Christian radio station, so hopefully you learned something.
Yeah, I worked for a few. Here's what's funny. So I was 4 months in, and the program director got fired. He did something stupid. He was also doing mornings, and they called me into the office that day. They were like, well, do you want to take over mornings and be the program director for the radio station? And I was like, I've been here 5 minutes.
Well, I mean, this is how it works in most places. It's like, as long as you go there and you stay there and you do a decent job, you just got to wait for everybody else to get fired around you, and eventually you'll move your way up the ladder.
Yeah,
it's not based on merit. It's just because you're the only one left.
No, exactly.
But when you're a kid, though, you're like, I don't care, man. I'm the star.
22. I was the youngest programmer of any Christian radio station probably on the planet, and I had no clue to what I was doing other than, I mean, I like to think that I did, research as a kid growing up.
Well, you grew up Catholic, I'm assuming, right?
Studying radio. Well, not the Christian stuff, but...
No, I know, but you grew up Catholic, though, correct?
So my parents are Catholic. When I went out on my own and met a nice young lady, she introduced me to, like non-denominational churches. Yeah. And so I visited a couple, and so I was already on that journey anyway, which is what led to Christian radio in the first place. It was a lot of people in the church that were saying, you should go talk to them. You might get an internship there. And I did. But 22, now I'm programming a radio station, and
you hear the motorcycle?
Awesome. Yeah, that's Jesus.
That's a motorcycle that's like right outside my window.
That's the second coming. He's going to come back on a Harley. So anyway, punchline is I learned a lot really quick about programming, music, building a team. I had to staff the entire radio station from scratch with just me there, and it was interesting. We went from not rating at all, not showing up in the ratings books at all, to like owning Sundays. That was one of the goals.
After church, right? Did you have like that? Were you on the drive to church, or were you on the drive home from church? Oh,
neither. I didn't work Sundays, but I brought a couple people in that did a couple really well done shows.
So right now, I hire people, and we put out ads out on Indeed and LinkedIn. But what did you do back in the day? I forget. Newspapers? Was it a newspaper ad?
God, not even newspaper. I mean,
how'd you find people back in the day?
It really was word of mouth, man. And then we put 1 or 2 ads on the air saying, hey, if you're interested. I mean, that's really all we did.
Did you get like Chick-fil-A people that showed up and like they were very really nice and very Christian and like really sweet, and like, is that the kind of people that you attracted to a Christian radio station?
Except for oh God, what was his name? I just had Gray. This guy Gray Davis, was that his last name? I don't remember exactly.
Close enough.
This guy Gray, I just identified him because he was a lot like me. He was like, but he was a little bit older, so he'd already kind of gone through. He had been an intern at the station a while back, but he got into some trouble and they didn't want him back and blah, 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 blah. He was a smoker, and
can't smoke if you're a Christian.
Oh my goodness. No, you can't. I smoked for a little bit at the very beginning. Boy. So
I grew up Baptist.
We'd sneak out back.
You're not allowed to do that.
Yeah, we'd go
Definitely
sneak out
not
back
allowed
and
to do that.
we'd hide in the desert brush and have a cigarette.
You're being bad.
Well, being so naughty. And
were you married at the time or not? Tell me when did you get married?
I got married at 21. 2 weeks after I turned 21, I was married.
Why?
First wife.
Man. 21, though. I'm just asking. That's
I was smitten.
Where'd you meet her at?
McDonald's.
Hey, listen, my mom and dad
we were
met
both
at
working there.
Denny's. I was conceived. I always tell my mom I was probably conceived in the Denny's parking lot.
Our son might have been conceived after a church event.
So my mom was 20. My dad was 18. My dad became at 19. My mom, I think they told me, and I think my dad told me, I can't remember, that he was the youngest general manager ever at Denny's. And I'm hearing you talk about McDonald's. I'm like, it's probably because people got fired. You were standing there. You had the keys. You were closing on midnight shift, and they said, "Oh, the guy on daylights doesn't work anymore. Do you want to be a GM?" Not sure how that works.
That one, I felt like so I got to do some cool stuff there, in management and helping open stores and that kind of stuff. That was fun. That actually was a lot of fun. There was a lot of camaraderie there.
Did you always eat the McDonald's during lunch and
dude, Benny, I have eaten McDonald's. This is no lie. Now, not as a kid. My parents would rarely take us there as kids.
Yeah,
but my mom said it was one of the first words I learned. Yeah, literally one of the first words I learned is that one day she was driving back from the deli and you could see the Golden Arches, and she would try to get around that corner as quick as possible. But she said early on, it was like one of the first words I said was Donald's. Aww. Just like that, pointing to it.
That's so cute.
It was very cute.
It was cute.
But what was I saying? I have no idea.
We were talking about McDonald's. You were running some stores. Yeah. You met your girl there. You got married. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that. Let's go down that relationship trail. Because, I mean, one of the things that we led the show with was 3 marriages, 2 wives.
Oh, you said why. And what's
why'd
funny
you get married at 21? Because you said you were smitten.
Yeah. My, security, right? So it's that.
Did she have a big job at McDonald's? Was she a high-ranking fry girl or what?
No, she was,
Security because you didn't want to live with your mom, but you needed to live with a girl.
Security because, no, and by now I'm not living at home. So,
you need somebody
I'm
to
out
cook,
of my
clean,
own,
do your
building
laundry. I'm just asking.
No,
so this is a chance to be authentic for once in your life.
This is the theory, right? When you're thinking through the construct is, 2 incomes are better than 1. That's 1.
Yeah, but you're also spending money twice as fast too. So I mean,
and true, and 2, I mean, wanting to grow a family at some point, right?
Well, yeah, you're Italian. I mean, you want to have a lot of babies. You want to have a family. You want somebody to make Sunday red sauce for you. I got. No, I'm being serious.
Yeah.
I think it's a pressure.
She didn't do any of that.
It's a pressure that's put on you.
Yeah.
And gotcha.
Got to find a nice girl.
What
to
was
marry
the
and settle
craziest
down.
thing, or was there any nuggets out of that marriage that you want to share with the audience? Anything good, bad, ugly?
What's really interesting, it's not during the marriage, because the marriage was fraught with conflict, and it didn't get really bad until the end, on my part. But
how long did you guys stay married?
11 years.
Wow, it's not bad for 2 21-year-olds.
Not terrible. Right before, it was about 6 months before, my best friend's mom sat me down. She actually sat us both down in my best friend's, in their kitchen, and said, "Listen, you two are so young. What are you doing? And this, can't you just wait?" The youth pastor that we were doing some church work with sat me down alone and said, "Listen, what's the deal, man? Because I'm just smelling it, and it doesn't smell. It's not what is it? Doesn't pass the sniff test. Doesn't cut mustard."
Okay.
And I told them both the same thing. We're confident, we're made for each other. We're deeply in love. And then that, I think, it's kind of like when your parents say, "Listen, you only get 1 cookie. Do not go back in the cookie jar to get another cookie after I walk out the door." And what's the first thing you're going to do? You're going to go back
cookies.
to the cookie.
Yeah,
of course, now you're going to get 2.
I mean,
you're
look
going to
at
get 3.
me. Yeah, I've definitely had too many cookies.
I'll even put, fake cookies underneath the real ones to lift up the level in the jar again, so it looks like it's the same amount. Like, I'm crazy like that. I will figure it out. I'll figure out a way, right?
I'm picturing that right now. That's funny.
Yeah.
And so are some of the listeners
styrofoam
at home
at the
right
bottom.
now. They're driving down the road. They literally just started giggling because they did it too. All right, so 11 years, and then you were. What happened after the radio station? Did you stay there for a while? Christian radio? Did you do that for a while, or what?
I did. It was on and off because I'm a bonehead, man. I made a bunch of bonehead mistakes.
What was the biggest mistake you ever made in your 20s?
There was a young lady. I was at we had moved around the Southwest a little bit. I was doing a nationally syndicated countdown morning show. A lot of that went to piss because, again, just issues that came up, which actually wasn't me, but I got in my own way, which was really interesting. But there was a young lady that was being very nice to me, and I was very nice to her back. And nothing physical ever happened, literally. But there was enough of conversation that happened that she told one of her best friends. One of her best friends was a little holier than thou and took it to the church leadership, and I was fired the next day.
Wow.
Yeah.
That was before like social media, text messaging, and everything. So that was just word of mouth. It wasn't even like she had proof. It was just like, oh,
here's what's worse. She was the one that came to me and said, "Why do you have to be married?" That was actually the first come on. It wasn't me.
Did that leave a bad taste in you about like Christianity and the church and stuff like that? Because I feel like a lot of people have had, issues and sometimes they blame God or something like that. And it's kind of sad sometimes.
Here's the thing. It's humans. We're weird. Humans
we all
are
have
weird.
sin, yeah.
Right? So we're going to make mistakes. People are going to have different reasons for attacking. I'm a big fan of believing that you can try negativity as much as you want, and there's a lot of people that are going to do it because they think it's a way to win, and it's not going to happen.
They think the quickest way to success is burning the other building down.
It could be. That's true.
So that way their building gets taller, right?
Of course. So, so that was the end of what I thought was going to be the end of my career. I got very lucky, and I still had one shot left at another Christian station in California. Really good friend of mine.
You were like stuck in the Christian thing, like you couldn't get out. Like you were just you were known in the Christian radio circles, and you couldn't even go back to secular music anymore.
Well, I never started there, right? So even though I wanted to work at Kiss FM in LA. That was actually my dream.
They had Kiss FM
Z100.
back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
I always thought that was something newer.
How old do you think I am?
Listen, man, I don't know.
That was the original Kiss FM, was LA. Yeah. And I knew of it, and I knew of Z100 in New York, and I thought, man, that would be cool. I would, in a heartbeat, move to either LA, New York, or maybe even Phoenix. Because back then, growing up in Tucson, we're like 100 miles from Phoenix, and there was that allure of it's a big city, and Scottsdale's very hoity-toity, and that's where my parents used to go and party, and so there was a lot of attracting me there. But I went to California, had a very frank conversation with the leadership at that station too. That was really unfortunate because it was a lot around how many hours a day are you here, how much work are you getting done, and it was just weird. And I finally gave them an ultimatum. It was like one of the first times I stood up for myself. I was like, listen, if you think there's somebody else that can do this job as well as I can, why don't you go find them? And they did. They took me up on the offer. I was like, oh,
did you do a good job? Did you listen to the guy? Did you do a good job?
Dude, I did amazing. Oh, the people that followed?
Yeah.
No, they eventually, I think they converted the station to something totally different. I don't remember what it is, but
so how long did you do radio for?
About 11 years.
So basically, the whole time you were married, you were doing radio, and then you got divorced, and you kind of stopped doing radio.
Well, what's interesting is when we came to Arizona, so it was after that station, came to Arizona in 2004, I did get a job at Kiss FM in Phoenix. So finally made the switch. And guess where I started, Benny? Overnights on Friday and Saturday night.
Oh, the overnight.
The late
put
night.
You in graveyard, baby. Graveyard.
Oh, yeah, it was terrible. But that led to like, all right, maybe you can do middays. Okay, maybe you can fill in
Are
for
you
the midday.
mostly doing music though, and then
off.
just a little bit of talk, or did you ever get to do like a lot of talk?
No, that one's like you're talking for 30 seconds.
Gotcha.
Maybe a minute. Yeah, it's quick stuff. It's thanks for listening. Coming up. I don't know.
You're just waiting
Bobby
for people
Brown.
to get fired to get to the morning show.
But they weren't, and so I befriended those guys though, and hung with the guys in the morning show, and we went to the clubs together, and that actually what's really interesting is there's that last 18 months that I was in radio. Because it was such a culture shock, and there was that moment, Benny, of now I get to do everything that I didn't get to do before, right? Feeling all that pent up, like bad boy stuff. Yeah. And so I did. So I was at the club 2-3 nights a week, burning through every nickel that I made, on bar tabs, and having a really good time, and hanging with Shaq and, whoever at the club. And meanwhile, I was.
Did you ever meet Charles Barkley out there?
Didn't mean no. I never met Chuck, even though he lives here. But
yeah, that's why I figured maybe you met Chuck.
No, I met like Amari and a couple
others. Got divorced.
Yeah, she was not happy with that whole situation. Got divorced.
So you were married during that situation. You were out bar hopping. You get divorced. Yeah. Obviously, that's not a good thing for a marriage.
Messy drunk.
Gotcha.
Wrecked a car after the divorce. Got a DUI.
Wow.
And then lost access to the kids. So with all of these boneheads and
mistakes, we didn't even talk about kids.
I know, we blew right past it. So we
had 2 babies during that whole time.
2 kids.
So the Christian radio was wearing off on you. You guys were making babies. What's their names?
Right. Ethan and Anna.
Ethan and Anna.
Yeah.
How far apart are they in age?
They're 4 years apart.
Okay. So you guys get divorced. I'm assuming the kids stay with mom because that's.
Yeah, kids stayed with mom. Then, she petitioned to keep them away from me in the beginning, which, further.
Probably was a smart thing.
I don't know. I
mean,
yes and no, right?
You were out doing
stuff.
Yeah,
but
even murderers get. It wasn't like she was just trying to be spiteful.
No, there's no good reason. Let me tell you my journey. Even murderers get to see their kids. That's the truth.
Supervised.
Kids deserve to give and receive love from both parents. They can't do that if there's an order that says no, never, or supervised. That's not fair. That's just not.
I agree.
So that was that. And it was an 18-month period, and then after that, I found out very quickly where my bottom was, and walked through the doors of AA in 2006. And said, I'm done. Like, I gotta change something. It wasn't about, losing access to the kids or any of that. It was, wasn't losing the marriage, wasn't losing access to the home or wrecking the car. It was none of that. It was waking up, literally, Benny, in a pool of my own piss on the side of the road after a blackout and just saying, what the hell am I doing? Wow. Like, this is not good.
How old were you then? Do you remember?
33. Yeah.
So that was kind of like your.
That was my 33rd birthday.
That was like your oha.
That was my aha.
Aha, yeah. Not oha. Aha.
Yeah, for sure. And so that started me on the path of really getting clean, getting honest, right, with what's wrong with me, because there's a lot wrong with me still.
There's a lot wrong with all of us, Sal. So don't. Yeah.
Mine centered around fear, and as most of us do, and all those insecurities and stuff like that. And, started to work through it. Didn't do a great job. And I can't say that it's been, 16 years straight with no drinking. The truth is I've had a couple, cocktails. Good news is I can count them, on one hand, how many times I've drank, since then. But for the majority of the last 16 years, it's been sober.
That's really good.
And
man.
And so, good. Thanks, man.
Something to be proud of. I mean, it really is. I mean, if you struggle with something like that and you're able to break that habit and go the other way, there's a lot of people out there that are envious of that situation, because there's some people probably out there struggling right now.
It sucks. It absolutely sucks. And the
it's
more
a
that you get
on your life, right?
Yeah, because there was those moments of, the more that she pushed right after I made, XYZ mistakes.
Yeah.
Then she pushed. Now I feel like I'm farther in the hole. So I'm like, well, screw it. I mean, if there's nothing left, then what am I doing? And then the SWAT team shows up. And that's a true story. So blacked out, went and stole a girlfriend's gun, called her, said, I'm coming to the school. I'm going to blow my brains out in front of the kids if you don't let me see them. Like that's where it got to. And I realized even then, Benny, that there was a problem. However, I just wasn't serious about fixing it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot. So how'd you get through that? That's tough.
There's nothing like waking up in the morning with the SWAT team at your door and the radio station that you just got fired from a few months before is out on the corner. And I don't know if they were doing a live remote or what, or if they were reporting on it, but they showed up right to see what was going on. I really actually think it was because they gave they actually cared and wanted to see, how I was doing. But I got in that situation, I got really lucky. I had two things going for me. I had whatever the response team was that was there that gave me the option and said, listen, we can either take you downtown or you can at least try. And if you want to go get checked out tonight, why don't you do 24 hours in the tank and see what they come up with. And I did. So I underwent a psych eval and, came out with what was pretty expected, but it was the first kind of inclination of me understanding getting in touch with what was going on inside. Because I really had stuffed, right? And wasn't addressing it. And so when the report came back and it really only said anxiety and separation anxiety and severe depression from, separation from the kids primarily was what they came up with. No major, cognitive or mental issues or emotional issues other than that. And it was all situational and outside stressors. Same story my dad had, right? 20 years previous. That actually was good news for me. That was the first time that I was able to face it, kind of accept it and go, okay, at least I know where I'm at. And I know it's not, I don't have cancer. Right.
Yeah, it could have been worse, right?
Could have been worse, right? It could have been anything. Could have been multiple personality disorder.
Do they give you a treatment plan for that type of stuff? I mean, after you get out of that, is that do they give you here's a program and here's what you need to do? And by the way, because you didn't have a job, right?
No, at the time I did.
Oh, what were you doing?
Working. This was fun. I was working at the Safeway Deli.
I mean, it's not Tony's Deli, but hey,
it's not Tony's.
Your dad,
but
was your dad still around at the time? I had to do
something that I knew. Was
your dad still around at the time?
Oh yeah, absolutely. My dad's still alive.
Okay. So did he was he pissed at you that you were working at the Safeway Deli and you weren't working at something a little bit more authentic?
No, my dad, every step along the way, dude, my dad has been like, I'm so proud of you. Typical dad stuff, right?
Yeah, I gotcha.
That's the only thing he knows how to say is which is good. At least it's not the other way. The only thing he knows how to say is it's not good enough.
Yeah.
I had, once he had that experience in life, he realized, how lucky he was also to still be here. And he turned a lot of things around too. And
he had a little bit more gratitude after the accident.
All he ever shared was just, his pride. And then even later on, just saying it's not even pride. It's, just so excited. Right.
Were you ever able to get to see the kids after the psych evaluation, the SWAT team? How old were the kids at the time?
All that. They were, they were probably 4 and 8 ish. Wow. Yeah.
When all that was going on right now, I have an 8-year-old.
5 and 8, 5 and 9. And
that'd be tough, man.
It took about 2 years.
If I couldn't see my kid, that'd be tough.
Yeah, it took about 2 more years. So it was about 3 years from the divorce till we were able to come to an agreement. And that lasted for another, almost 4 years. And then I took a job. I had switched careers completely because radio was done with me. We had a mutual split where radio said, no, thank you. We don't want you to be here anymore. And I said, I understand. And we went our separate ways. And I started working at call centers. And got pretty good at it. And even as a contractor at a BPO
doing what at a call
AT&T,
center?
It's just taking calls for tech support.
Customer
so the first
service.
one was, Uverse. was the first call center that I worked at, and I was tier 2, and I was hot shit, and I thought I was the man. And
what do you do? Tell like the old ladies, okay, please unplug the internet.
The receiver, and you're going to leave it unplugged for 60 seconds, and then if you
just wait,
go ahead and plug it back in for me now, please. Thank you.
What do you do during that 60 seconds? Because I remember those calls back in the day. Like, what do you do like when there's trouble? I remember a gateway call. I had to call for Gateway Computers. And I'll never forget, the answer was just turn it off and turn it back on, and everything worked great. But like, what do you do during that 60-second pause? Like, what the Comcast, like, what do they do? Well, you reset your router.
I see. This is where we've had some talks about selling before, and this is actually where I did do a little bit. Like, so are you happy? Not are you happy with your TV package, but what are you into lately? What do you like to watch? Is there anything you don't have that you want? Perfect.
What year is this? Can you tell me like what time frame?
Absolutely. April of 2008 is when that job started.
Okay, so that wasn't that long. I mean, that's just not that long. I mean, it's kind of long ago. It's not that long.
Yeah, 14 years.
And you were
so I spent.
Okay.
Yeah, I spent about a year and a half. Yeah, about a year and a half taking calls. Part of that was some training. So they, for whatever reason, they determined, okay, this guy might have some talent. Right, in speaking and maybe even training and teaching.
Did you always have the voice, or did the voice come because you Rick Dees and you just kind of like you turned it into a radio voice? You just always
listen. What you hear is what you get, man. What you see is what you get. Like, when I was 16 years old, I even working drive-through at McDonald's. People, every single car that came through, they'd get to the window and say, "My God, you should be on the radio." I was like, okay. I know.
All right, so it wasn't that you tried to emulate something; you just always stuck with it. It's like you came out of the womb talking like this.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I think that it was important for the listeners at home to realize that, because I was just curious about that. That's all.
Not putting it on, and it's different, right? I've just learned my own speaking pattern that I like and enjoy, right? And you do develop pieces of that as you go through life, and you understand that like not everybody just wants to hear you, talk like in monotone all day, because right? We wake up at like, what is it, 25, somewhere around there. 25 or 30, and we realize, okay, this is not effective communication. People are not listening to what I have to say. But for me, it was early on. I just really, I did probably practice one or two things in front of the mirror, but at the end of the day, this is what you see is what you get, dude. Yeah,
that's all good. Man. So
the only way I know how to do it.
So 2008, you're at the call center, you're having a good time, you're single, I'm assuming. You can't see the kids.
I'm back, and so now I'm with my current wife, Amanda, by this time. We
had started how'd you guys meet?
About a year before that. We met. She was one of my stalkers on radio. She's going to tell you no. She was one of my fans late night on the slow jams. No, I didn't do slow jams. By the way. No. It was R-Dub does slow jams. He has a national show, and although I know him. I know Randy, and I'm not afraid to say it, but she heard me on the radio. We met. This is gonna make you laugh. We connected on MySpace. Yeah. And wow, that is a long laugh track.
I don't know how to use the. I'm doing the buttons on the Roadcaster. Right? I don't know how. Like, some of them last longer than others. I don't know.
That one is long.
You have to record some sound bites for me so I can reset the panel over here. Oh,
yeah, for sure.
Didn't mean to do that one. Sorry, I got to stop touching buttons.
That is so funny. But yeah, we met on MySpace. We connected.
I remember MySpace. That was so cool when it came out.
Yeah. We were dating for a little bit. She was also helping me get through some things. Because look, after the SWAT team and the losing access to the kids, and I was like $30,000 behind on child support, man. I was hit with like $1,000.
So you're not allowed to see the kids, but you're still going to pay for the kids, right?
Of course.
No, I got you.
Yeah, that's how it works.
Did you tell Amanda all this stuff? Like, are you open as honest back then?
Totally.
Like you are right now. Like you're
totally
you're
open and transparent.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah. And she's like, I love that SWAT team. Bring it on. Bring it on.
Are you kidding? I love it. Yeah. In fact, the girl that I dated that I stole
the FBI there too.
The girl that I dated that I stole the gun from, I honestly, when I sat down and talked to her, it was at a radio station event. She was like sitting in the little VIP area near us, and I was doing a live remote. And she said, "So what's your story?" And I was like, I'm a hot mess. You probably don't want to actually date me. And
that's
I told
the
her
takeaway
everything.
close. Yeah, but that's the takeaway close. In sales, when you tell them that you can't have something, they want it even more, Sal.
Even more. I didn't know that.
Actually attract it.
I didn't realize that would work. And it did. It worked masterfully. So needless to say, we like connected that night. And and then 6 months later, or whatever it was.
You don't mess around, do you, in these marriages? You're just like, boom, we got to go. Let's go.
Let's go.
That's that Christian radio coming out, and you're like, oh, we got to go to the altar.
Same thing with Amanda. We met, and she knew. I told her exactly where I was at. I was like, look, and at that point, when we connected, I was living with like 3 other guys. We were working at a restaurant, trying to help some friends open it, and we were working literally like 20 hours a day, getting 2 hours of sleep. And then, firing it back up every day. And it was tough. We did that for months. And she walked in to the restaurant one night with all her girlfriends. And she's like, remember me? And I was like, yep, I sure do. And we started hanging out again. And, then she's like, listen, how about a better situation where you're not living with 3 other smelly guys? And I was like, that sounds nice.
Yeah,
I'd like to do that. Yeah. So that's how that started. And then a year later, I was working at AT&T as a contractor doing UVer support.
All right. So that's what, 2008? 2008. All right. So what happens after 2008?
I worked, some management spots. There was a contract company that came in and bought everybody's contracts up. And then I was one of the first people they hired to be a team lead manager and set some goals. I really started learning about have you ever read the book 360 Leader?
No, but
John
that's kind of
Maxwell.
like where you get no, I haven't. But is that like where people give you feedback, you give them feedback, and you kind of see what your peers say about you?
It is and it isn't. I think it leaned more into intention and emotional IQ. It was one of the first books that really did that in that 2000s, before 2010.
Yeah.
And I grabbed, pieces of the book and I printed them and put them all over my cubicle. I really got serious because I had read Think and Grow Rich when I was a kid. I forgot not forgot.
He was a con artist.
That I read it, but there's a lot of different stories.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he actually didn't follow Dale Carnegie.
Let's wrap up the rest of Sal's
blah, blah, blah.
crazy life.
So that's some of the stuff that led to, setting some goals. Right intention, writing them down on paper. I had them written down, looked at them every day, and the goals started working on me. And 18 months later, I was managing a team, and then within 9 months of that, I was getting promoted again to second line manager, and now coaching at a high level. And I really enjoyed that. That was a lot of fun, and so I got to do that in Mesa, Arizona. I got called out to Canton, Ohio, right down the road from you. Yeah, I was in Canton for 2 years.
No, you weren't in Canton, Ohio for 2 years.
2012 to 2014, 100%. That's where we got Wiley, my little fur boy.
Are you kidding me? Did you know that's where I was from? I mean, I moved to Pittsburgh in 2010.
Are you serious?
I was born in Canton, Ohio.
We never had this conversation.
No, wait a second. What?
I was there for 2 years. I worked at the AT&T building. I was in Pittsburgh though the whole time, but my whole family. I mean, I go to Ohio all the time. Like, tell me where at in Canton. Where'd you live? I can't tell you because then you're going to think I'm a racist. So, because we didn't
Louisville, Ohio.
Of course.
You lived in Louisville, Ohio.
We had no idea. We found somebody on roommate.com and they said, hey, we've got a finished basement that we can rent you for $200 a month or whatever.
I don't know if 10 years, I don't know what it's still like over there, but I
worked at Montrose. Listen,
I worked at Montrose Ford. At the car dealership. Yeah. And
whatchamacallit? Yeah.
Montrose,
I can't remember the name of the street.
I don't know.
It's on Montrose. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, and I didn't really know that. I kind of always heard rumors. But listen, when I was at that car dealership, you ain't kidding, man, dude.
No.
I was like, I just didn't understand it because I was like, man, we're in like 2000, like we're in 2005, 8. I mean, like, are you serious? There's still racism going on like that.
Even in 2012.
That blew my mind. It really did. It blew my mind because I was just like, wow. I mean, so I went to Massillon Perry. I went to Perry High School.
Oh, did you really? Yeah.
I graduated in 99.
That's awesome.
But yeah, my mom and dad live right on the border. They live on Market and right on the border of Canton and North Canton now. They moved. But yeah.
Up near Jackson Township. Well, Jackson Township's further.
My parents go to church in
farther.
Jackson Township. I got a lot of friends in Jackson Township.
One of my best friends that I made lives in Jackson Township. Yeah. Really cool dude.
Who?
Great people. Yeah.
Who?
Oh, wow. That's true. Wait, when did he graduate?
No, I said who. Who is it?
I know. Well, I can't say his name.
Oh, all right.
Not publicly on the air. I don't want to dox him.
Yeah.
I'll tell you later. I'll
Dox.
text. Well, hang on. Let me text you really quick. This will be fun.
No, it's not going to matter. Like if I'm
Yeah,
like,
no, it matters.
I'm not allowed to say his name. I mean,
You
like,
probably know who they are, actually, now that I think about it.
let's just keep rolling. So anyway, so you moved to Canton, Ohio. That is so wild, man. Sorry for the show taking a little bit longer now than it's usually taken, but like we're having this is crazy. And again, I will let you know that me and Sal probably had 100 conversations over the last year. I
Easily.
didn't know 95% of what we talked about today.
Yeah.
Tell them that's the God's honest truth, because we usually just talk about NFTs, VeeFriends, business, launching a new radio station,
In general, stuff that's going on and, feelings and that kind of stuff, but not this.
This is cool though, man. Like I really appreciate you sharing your life story with us.
Man.
Is there anything
My pleasure.
interesting about like the last 10 years? I mean, that you want to share before we get into a little bit about NFTs? And
Well, I mean, Canton was interesting. That, being in an area that was so economically depressed and just hit hard by,
listen,
that's
for all
putting
my
it
people,
mildly.
I'm sure there's a lot of listeners that are listening back home in Canton. It's not that economically depressed, is it? I don't know. I haven't been there in 12 years.
Man,
There was a reason I left, though. I could tell you.
Compared to Arizona, I mean, it's tough, right? When you see like the Hoover plant shut down. And
Oh yeah, my sister
Firestone
works in an
and
office now.
all
There's
that.
a marketing company that's in one of the little offices now in the Hoover company.
They've done a really good job, though. So when we got there, actually right at the tail end, they were really starting to revitalize. But the company that brought us out bought the old AT&T building that was vacant, and they remodeled the whole thing, top to bottom.
Did Amanda live out there too with you?
She was with me, yeah.
Where'd she work at while she was out there?
She worked with me at AT&T. She went to the mobility side, yeah.
Okay.
She became
so
a
what
heavy
was your
hitter,
favorite?
too.
Like, what was your favorite restaurant in Canton?
Oh, God, I don't remember. It was downtown. There was... Oh, no.
There was
one on... Oh, shoot. Damn it. I'm going to forget. It was a Mexican
Village?
restaurant over by... No, what was the...
Dressler?
What was the big... Was it Dressler?
Was it Talakepaki?
No. Don Julio's?
Don Julio's. I don't know.
Is it Don Julio?
There's an El Campesino.
No.
Oh, is
It might be Don Julio's.
Strip? Was it up at the Strip?
At the Strip, yeah.
Oh, that place closed.
They had the cornbread.
Yeah, that place
They had
closed. That was garbage, man.
Did it really?
It was garbage.
What?
Yeah,
It was really good.
The Strip's all different now. They actually put a Bonefish Grill across the street now, and that like.
Well, that I saw.
That field.
Yeah, that was there when I was there.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. It's been 12 years.
I think it was Don Julio's.
12 years. Yeah.
The cornbread
Don
pudding.
Poncho's. Was it Don Poncho's?
No, I don't think it was Don Poncho's.
It was a Don Poncho's down by the Quaker Steak and Lube. Back in the day.
Quaker Steak was really good.
I used to work at Mullinex Ford. I mean, I used
Quaker
to work
Steak
out in
was
Alliance.
really good.
I used to work
That was
out in
really
Alliance.
tasty.
So Louisville's like on the way to Alliance.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so I worked at the Montrose out there. Montrose used to move me around. They always wanted to fire me, and then they put me somewhere
We
else.
had my boss that brought me out there, by the way. So he was with me in Arizona. He went out first and then brought me out in January of 2012. And Claude Archie, and black guy, really fantastic human being. Had he not had his family out there yet? I don't remember. No. Yeah, they were coming out 4 months later. We had him out for dinner in Louisville. He's like, you forgot to tell me where you lived. He's like, you got to let me know, man, because coming out here, you don't understand. I was like, what are you talking about? We had no idea. And that was a little bit stressful. So that was surprising. That was something I learned that I wasn't aware of, is that how alive, the racial divide was, at least there. But man,
Did you like Giannino's?
Everybody I met was amazing.
Did you ever eat at Giannino's?
Giannino's. I think we did eat there once
They
or
had
twice.
like the
I don't
Buckeye
remember
wings,
it.
the Buckeye barbecue wings, or like
Yeah.
a mix of like hot sauce and like barbecue sauce,
Yeah.
and it's like really good. All right, we got to stop talking about Canton. That's a whole other podcast.
Canton.
All right, so how'd you get back out of Canton? So you went back to Arizona, obviously, because that's where you're at now.
We just left. Yeah, I was frustrated after 2 years again.
Yeah, the weather
So
the weather there is awful. I mean, like
Oh,
Canton,
my gosh.
Pittsburgh, it's like depressing in the wintertime. I mean, you come from Arizona, man. Like I don't ever know how you leave
Italian,
unless you're
man.
going to Florida. Like you never want to leave Arizona.
I'm Italian. I have hot blood, very tropical guy. I get frozen very quickly. Yeah, -40 was the last winter that we were there. We were like, yeah, that's it. We're done.
So can you tell me about, because I'm really confused, because at the beginning of the podcast, you said you had 3 marriages and 2 wives. We heard about the ex-wife with the SWAT team, and we heard about Amanda.
Yes.
Where'd the third marriage come in at?
So the second marriage was Amanda. That was September of 2011.
Okay.
We went back home after leaving Ohio. I got a job at Apple, and I had worked there the last 7 years.
Like Steve Jobs Apple?
Like Steve Jobs Apple, like the Fortune 1 company.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, like that.
That's
Apple.
pretty cool.
Now I can say it. I couldn't used to say it, but now I can do it. Yeah, there's like 3 or 4. In fact, I got to send this stuff back. They're still waiting for it. But yeah, we split in 2016, and I lost my head. I got a little crazy, and
no SWAT team though, not that crazy.
No SWAT, no, not that kind of crazy this time. But yeah, I got to a place where I thought I was, kind of stuck, and I thought the only way out was to just end the marriage and start over. And so we did. We went through with divorce, and then we reconciled, and 6 months later we got back together and remarried.
So the divorce was final.
Final.
And then somehow you went and got married again.
Yeah.
Okay. That's interesting. Yeah.
She was the one person that whole time had supported me about as close to unconditionally as a human being has ever in my life.
That's awesome.
And that was tough to walk away from.
No, it's hard. Like when people love you, like, because there's not that many people out there in life that are going to like love you. Right.
Right.
Like everybody says they got friends and they got like all this love.
Yeah.
But for someone to really show you like selfless, unconditional love, and like they don't have to, it's like, give me more of that, man. Like I want more. Like I want more of that. Like no matter, like it's almost like no matter what they do to you too. Like if they show you, like,
and when it's gone, you feel it. When it's gone, you feel it. That's that's the thing. Now you have 2 choices in that situation. And mine was I still had that gaping hole in my heart that I had to start filling with good stuff for me.
Because you weren't doing alcohol.
Wasn't drinking, wasn't doing drugs, and none of that. Yeah.
What was your outlet? I mean, because everybody needs an outlet.
Nothing. Maybe music at home. So I was making music at home. I put a record out at 40, whatever.
Is it on iTunes?
Oh God. Yeah.
Interesting. We're gonna have to put that in the show notes.
Yeah. So it's
please
not very
buy
good. Please
Sal's
don't look at it.
album.
Yeah. Don't look it up. It's not very good. But it was one of those things that was also part of the allure of radio when I was a kid, is that I thought one way or the other, right? I'll either be a DJ or a pop star, and clearly the correct choice was DJ.
Yeah. I can't wait to listen to it now. Like, wish I had a button.
So, yeah, that was really it. I mean, I tried playing golf and stuff like that. It's just hard to keep up, and it's 150 degrees here all the time.
I just got back from golf today. Can you see I'm sunburnt? Look at this.
You look fantastic, actually. You got good color, man. Yeah. How'd you shoot?
So, all right, let's keep this on this because we're way off track.
No, I gotta know what you shot today.
It was a scramble, so I don't even know what I don't.
How'd you play?
I played pretty good. I mean, I didn't actually. I'll tell you what. I drove the ball really well. First time I played golf since September. Haven't been playing golf because I've been, as you know, my hobby is, Brittany, big fish contracting, the NFT world.
We've been busy.
I've got a lot.
Yeah.
I get my son every other weekend now, so I just
deal.
don't have time for golf. 5 hours, I don't have time for that. But today I took time because one of our vendor relationships invited me, and when someone invites you somewhere, you have to have a pretty good reason not to go, especially if it's a good friend and a good business relationship. So I decided to bite the bullet and go to a golf scramble, and spend some time just hanging out outside. Of course, I picked the hottest day of the year. I remember getting in my car on the way home. And it was like 100. It said 106 degrees, which is probably only like 92, 93.
Is it really 106 there today?
No. Like, the car temperature.
That's what it was in the car.
The car temperature. Yeah, like before it cools down. But it was like 92, 93, which is really hot for Pittsburgh.
Yeah. That's pretty
Anyway,
warm.
let's get back to Sal. Okay,
What are we talking about?
Well, I don't know. You got married for the third time to the same girl, Amanda.
Yeah.
And you were working at Apple. And I do know this part. You just stopped working at Apple not that long ago, correct?
Correct.
So that catches us all the way up now.
September-ish of last
It was
year.
more like call center
August,
stuff,
September.
same thing, like Apple Care, like tech support.
Yeah, that's where I started. I walked in the door just saying, I'll take any job, right? I was happy to take out the trash at Apple. I mean, it's, Gary talks about it all the time. You're probably in pretty good shape, even if you're, employee number 150 at Facebook. That's not bad. So that's a pretty good gig. And this was too. So it was just doing support. But after a few years, I got involved with the investigation operations team, which did high-level investigations for stakeholders in the company that wanted to find out where the root cause of issues were. And so I was part of a very elite team out of 160,000 employees, and 30,000 of those are Apple Care. There was only 200 of us that worked on this team.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was a really neat accomplishment. So we got to do a lot of fun stuff.
You can tell us, all Tim Cook's, dirty little secrets?
Don't know any.
Gotcha.
Truth. We didn't know any of the products that were coming out until Tim announced it. They actually gave us time off the phone to watch the keynote because we had no idea. We didn't know what was coming, ever.
Yeah, no, they're pretty cool about that. Yeah. Tim's following in Steve's footsteps. Tim's a billionaire now. Pretty
Is
cool
he really?
to just get a job and just become a billionaire just because you've been at Apple your whole life. Yeah. Anyway, all right. So how the heck did I meet you? Tell me about the story about how all of a sudden I kept seeing the Sal DiGuardia. I get into Discord in May of last year.
Yep.
And I kept seeing your name. I kept seeing, this tiger on Twitter and give me some of that early May action, VCon, VeeFriends. Yeah. You just came out of nowhere.
Yeah. I've been following Gary since, for me, since the Canton days. So
this is so crazy, Sal.
2012, 2013. The truth, I found Gary. I found Oprah and Deepak they did one of the first, no, not one of the first. It was the first meditation series they did together that I also found around that time. And I found a crazy old man named Dan Pena. And those
I love that guy.
Love Dan.
He's nuts,
amazing,
man.
He is nuts, but he's right.
He just calls it just like it is.
He's 1,000% correct all the time. But those are really the three that, as I was going through, again, just another.
What did Deepak Chopra think
stretch.
about Dan Pena? Because I met Deepak Chopra. I don't know if you know that or not, but I met Deepak, and he doesn't seem like he could handle Dan Pena's energy.
I would love to see those two in a room together. I'd love to see Gary or Oprah broker a conversation between those two. That would be fun. That'd be a lot of fun.
That'd be hilarious. So give me how did you became a celebrity? I'm going to tell you this. You became very well known in the VeeFriends space very early on. And
that was because,
and I thought you were here, and don't take this the wrong way. I thought you were already a celebrity. I'm not kidding. I'm like, how do I not know who Sal DiGuardia is? How do I not know who Sal DiGuardia is? He's already this guy's a celebrity. He must have already been in the know and everything. And
that's so great.
I'm being dead serious, man. I'm just telling you the truth.
I appreciate that, man. I got lucky. Gary saw something that I was doing in the Discord that he liked. And so the very first night
tell us what it
giveaways,
was? I mean, don't be humble.
Yeah.
Just tell us what were you doing in the Discord?
Without an agenda, I just simply wanted to demonstrate the kindness that Gary had talked about all these years that I've heard him talking about. And I knew that's what he wanted to see happen in his Discord. And so that's what I tried to execute on every day, was just showing up and being nice. I happen to have a 2-week stretch right at that time, that drop, that VeeFriends was released, that I was out of work because we thought I had COVID. So they gave me 2 weeks off, no questions asked. If you're sniffling weird, you're going home. That's how they handled it.
Yeah, it's Apple. They don't care. They got billions of dollars to pay people.
So and we work from home. It's not like I was going home to quarantine.
Wait,
I
what?
already work from home.
That's crazy. Well, you might have a
Yeah.
headache, Sal, and they want you to make sure that you're on your game for your customer
They
service.
wanted to make sure that you 100% were taken care of. And they did. They took really good care of their employees.
That's
that
good.
I will say. And so it happened to be that 2-week stretch. So I was in the Discord 24/7 and having a lot of fun, meeting a lot of people. Met you, Alyssa, Ron Jordan, right? And some of our other friends, Kid Jet, Moni, Morgan, Sarah, right? All those people. And I just tried to execute on being kind, being nice, and it worked. I didn't expect anything in return. I didn't know that he was going to be given it. Yeah, I didn't. Well, in life, a lot of times we do things in life and it's contingent. There's an agreement, man. I'm going to do this and I'm going to get that, right? That's
really?
just
I don't know. I've never
how a lot of people operate.
I've never operated like that. But
I know that's not how you operate.
I know there's a lot of people.
But I know a lot of people in life, that's how they operate.
That's true.
And that's not what I was there to do.
I got you.
I was simply there to execute. And what happened is, which I know is true in life, is that when you give selflessly and you're not expecting anything in return, that's when really magical things happen. That's when the really cool stuff can take hold. And it did.
Gary just decided to give you NFC token.
Gave me
right?
one. Gave me a VeeFriends Series
Like just
1.
out of nowhere? Like was it a random drawing? Like he just said, "Oh, I'm going to give somebody." Like I don't, because wasn't really paying attention back then, so I don't know. Like
those giveaways that he did in the early days, he was watching, right? He was watching his community. And remember, we started with there was only 9,000 people in there, I think, right when we got in. Maybe,
I don't even know. I'd love to
10.
know what number I was, because I didn't even know what Discord was. Do you know that? I didn't even have any idea. I never even heard of Discord before.
I had no idea. I was so scared.
And just by the way, for the people at home, it's worse than an AOL Instant Messenger chat room. Like it's less functional because like I don't even know how to use it still. Full disclaimer, I still don't know how to use the Discord the right way, I don't think.
But he saw, something. And it's so funny because I've been trying to get his attention in comments for years. Or, typical fanboy stuff, right? Like, yeah, sounds great, Gary. I appreciate that comment. And, I try to do this too. And yeah, I'm executing on this in my life or whatever, on his YouTube, his Instagram, like all his stuff, right? But
and that was the first time that he gave you some street cred.
This is the first time that he really, all of us have had, we've had real interaction with him in that Discord for the last year. And
I had real interaction with him back in 2018, but I'm not bragging.
What'd you do in 2018?
I bought a Michael Jordan rookie card from him.
Whoa, no kidding.
At a baseball card.
Why did he give
show.
that up? I thought he wants to buy them all up and get them off the market.
Well, because he sold it to me for $500 more than what it was actually worth at the time.
Oh, no kidding.
But because because I really looked up to him as an entrepreneur, and I was, only 3-4 years into my entrepreneurial journey. Like he's the guy that I'm like, oh wow, he's the guy that I can most be like, right? Like he's because I can I could just, like some of these other guys, it's like, oh, they're too far out there. Like it's not even real. Gary Vee, like garage sales, baseball cards, crypto,
it's real.
Like, I'm like, oh, that's me. Oh, YouTube. Oh, social media.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Like I'm like, all right. And then like he helped me build the brand with Big Fish. I mean, he doesn't even know about it, but like his messaging like got, when I started this contracting company, I'm like, yeah, brand. I didn't know nothing about brand. I mean, like I got big time brands, but I didn't know how to make my own brand. Well, I'm telling you, he influenced me. I don't know how he did it. It's not like I like read a book and then said, oh, I got to do this, and this. I just started doing it. I feel like I just started doing it. I started documenting it. I started
it's very empowering that way. Yeah.
Yeah. And And when he was at the baseball card show and I knew he was promoting baseball cards, I had already been into baseball cards 5-10 years before that. And he was at the show the year before, and just as a guest, kind of walking around. I could never find him because I wanted to say hi to him. But this year, he actually was at a booth. That year, he was actually at a booth in Chicago.
Right.
So like that was easy then because I could go up to him, and he was just back in the booth with a couple other of his buddies from Jersey. And I said, hey, and I already knew I had intention. My intention was to go buy anything I could off of him. I don't care what it was. He happened to have one of my favorite basketball cards, a Michael Jordan rookie card. It was a BGS 8 for the people listening at home. And back then it was worth $2,000. Like on eBay, off anybody else at the card show, I could have bought one for $2,000. He wanted $2,500 for it. And I told him, Gary, and I had his shoes on too. So because I was, back then that he's had all the K-Swiss shoes coming out. I had his K-Swiss shoes on. I wore them on purpose.
Did you really?
Plus, I wore.
Great.
I wore them anyway because like I would wear them all the time. So I went up to him and I said, "Gary, that card is only worth $2,000, and the only reason he's like, I know, but I want $2,500." I said, well, you would even tell me that I shouldn't pay more for something because like that's just dumb. So like, can you sell it to me for like 1,800 so I can go flip it for 200 bucks? He's like, no. He's like, this card's going up. This card's going to be big time. I'm selling it for 2,500. I said, I tell you what, here's what I'll do. I said, because I love you and I think that you've been a really, really good influence on me. I said, I'm going to give you that $500, but here's what I want in return because now I need value. You're going to sign my shoes. I'm going to take a picture and a video with you.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you this $2,500. And guess what? He did it. I have the picture. I used that on my first Hangout Hawk call and made my introduction with him. I said, hey, do you remember this? He said he remembered me. I have a hard time believing it because the guy meets like, 500 people a day.
Yeah.
But at least he always makes you feel like the most special guy in the room. But he does now know me for sure because it's like, there's been so many interactions now.
Yeah.
We even had the interaction in the Hangout Hawk. Remember when he said, me and you should do our own little radio show? I needed a muse. I don't even know what the word muse means, but he said like, hey, I need a muse. I'm like,
did you look it up?
I mean,
do you know what it is now?
I kind of know what it is. I got out of context, I got it. I kind of figured out what it was. It's almost like that color commentary person, so it's like I need two people to do this and I'll be the guy that just kind of making comments about it. Right. I remember I asked a question in the Gift Goats channel, one time and, we did a video. He did an actual Zoom call with them, man, which the Hangout Hawks freaked out about because the gifts were kind of late. The first gift was a little bit late and he wanted to come in and apologize. And I got to ask a question on there and he's been always gracious to me. And I was backstage at VCon and we said, what's up? So it's, I've been working hard at trying to show him that I'm building a brand, and I'm doing something in my industry, which, was very unique back in 2015. But anyway, enough about me, more about you. You got the Tiger.
I got the Tiger.
Yeah. When did you decide to do Crypto Radio Network and get back to your roots?
Wow. I had an idea to do a show a long time ago, like 10 years ago. And I tried doing some podcasts, YouTube, didn't really hit with the audience that I was looking to hit with. But I've wanted to do something for a long time. And somebody approached me after months of me, a buddy of ours, Kid Jet, Dante. There's been a handful of people that we've been talking about. What is it that I'm waiting for? What is it, Sal, that you're waiting for that you're not pulling the trigger on and doing whatever it is the hell that you're supposed to do? And somebody approached me in February and said, hey, I got an opportunity. Somebody just backed out of a syndicated weekly satellite radio show. I was like, really? And he said, do you want the slot? And I was like, well, yes. Without even thinking about it. I was like, of course.
So again, somebody got fired and then Sal stepped in.
Someone quit.
Whatever.
And the spot opened up. And I said, of course, I would love to. And we had already, there had been some discussion around what could happen, right, in this space, what could actually work on radio. And that was the moment that it all kind of came together. Oh my gosh, education, Web3 education, go back to terrestrial radio where 90% of Americans still listen every week and help onboard the next 100 million people into the space, be a part of that. And
I thought you said you were going to just do another million. It's 100 million.
I increased it. I went for the big, hairy, audacious goal, Benny, based on your recommendation. That I wasn't ambitious enough. I wasn't reaching. I wasn't thinking big enough.
Let's talk about that for a second. I remember a call again. Our real relationship. I kind of saw you in the Discord, Twitter. We make some comments back and forth, a little bit of Clubhouse.
Sure.
But for some reason, I can't remember why I reached out to you. Like with a cell phone and like a text message, the old fashioned way. Yeah,
you just checked in. You were just like, tell me what's going on. Like, what are you thinking about? What are you trying to do?
Because you kept talking about it in Clubhouse, and then me being the business guy that I am, constantly just always thinking about business ideas and vision and values and like structure and I think it was Yeah, I remember I had some downtime in a hotel. Oh yeah, my flight got delayed. I was stuck in. I think I was stuck in Nashville, Tennessee. It was pouring down rain. I remember being at the hotel, looking out over Nashville, talking to you on the phone. What did we talk about? Like what? That was the first real conversation we ever had one-on-one.
Yeah, it was just that. It was, what are you doing with this Clubhouse thing? Is that actually I think you asked, is that actually generating any money for you? Is that even worth your time? Kind of a discussion.
I was just fascinated. All these people hang out all the time. I'm like, dude, like, what do these people do for money?
That too. You did. You asked. You're like, do any of these people work?
Like regulars?
I don't understand.
Like, I'm like, are you getting paid? Like, is there affiliate deals?
That was so funny.
I really had questions.
Do any of these people work?
Well, no, I was trying to be nice about it, but like,
I know you were.
Everyone's just like, it's like you're on that show every 9 a.m. every day. I'm thinking like, how do you get paid for this? Does Clubhouse give you like money or something? Like,
no. And it was just all out of, this is what I decided to do. And originally it was really just kind of a connection point for the community every day over voice. And so Gary's been a big fan of voice for a long time, right? He's been talking about it for years, saying voice is next. I'm telling you guys, voice is next. And so I went into Clubhouse. And
we're going so
Clubhouse
long that my background went off. Did you see that?
Oh, no kidding. No, I missed it. Okay. Yeah, I'm so sorry.
You keep talking about the Clubhouse. I'll be right back.
All right.
No, it's all right. We'll just go without it.
Yeah. And then, all right. Yeah, we'll do it quick. I felt at home. I felt like, wow, this is familiar. This is a lot like radio. And that was as a result of the giveaway. People asked immediately, why don't you host a space? And so that's really what kind of sparked that whole thing in the first place. But no, there was no money. It was really just an opportunity to give the community a chance to connect every day. And then from that's led to doing some other big spaces, and now the radio show. And now I've got a little bit of a following that's all starting to come together. Live event in Minneapolis for VCon.
That was awesome, by the way.
Satellite event
that was the first kickoff event. I appreciate you letting me come to that and bring my son.
Oh my gosh, I appreciate you, coming and getting content and sharing it. And Cody was amazing. And Cody,
Cody D. It's my D-Rock, Cody D.
Brilliant.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So it's starting to prove out, right, that there's some value in connecting these communities in a real way, IRL. That the Discord is awesome, right? There's 400,000 people in the VeeFriends Discord. They're having a great time.
Can't even keep up with it when that thing
can't even keep up with it.
Can't even reply.
I try to get in.
You can't even find it.
Yeah, we try to get in on a fairly regular basis, but really the fun part is discussing, right? It's talking. And it's that virtual piece that it's as close as we can get to meeting up without jumping into VR and putting goggles on, and the rest of the story.
They don't even let you go into Discord and say, hey, come follow me on Twitter. Like, I wish they would do that. Like, why don't they let you do that?
And I've been really careful too. I don't use the Discord to like promote really.
But it's like, hey, why don't you guys come over to Twitter and let's all chat and talk?
Because it's not, it's not a VeeFriends sanctioned thing or a Bored Ape sanctioned thing. So they're not going to put their name on something that they don't have control over.
400,000 people, just the typing, it just.
Yeah. Listen, they're all in one spot. That's goal.
Why I'm hardly ever there anymore, because it's like really like it's hard to keep up.
But think about it. He built up in a year. Benny, how long would it take you to get 400,000 emails? I mean, that could take 10 years.
10 lifetimes.
10 lifetimes to get that many, right?
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm still trying to crack 1,000 followers on Instagram. I mean, I'm like rusty. By the way,
it's the least invasive way to get a collection of people where you want them so that you can deliver the right hook. That's that's what Discord is for. On a large scale. Smaller scale, it's cool. You build community, right? Like in the early days, it was fun. And so anyway, the punchline is I got the opportunity to do the radio thing. I said, sure. We launched April 2nd. And so that was 11 weeks ago.
Yeah. And
in just 2 short months, man, we've pulled interviews with all the kind of heavy hitter women in Web3 in the Southern California area. So Valerie and Lauren Turton and Doc Peace and all them. At VCon, when we were at the satellite event at the mansion party, Beeple, Danny Cole, for them to both back to back walk in the room and sit down with me was like,
I had people. I warmed people
amazing.
up. I warmed people up for you.
You did.
I
You
got
had them go into the green room.
Minutes.
Yeah. And now we've got Hero Maker Studios that we just did an interview with on Saturday. Garib, the godfather of Comic-Con. He's the one that bought it in Chicago when it was failing and turned it into the Comic-Con you know today. Like, we just had him on the show on Saturday.
So where's your show? So for people listening, how do they listen to your radio show?
So there's a couple ways. If you're in Chicago, WCGO AM 1590, I think it is, and they also have an AM FM frequency also, but AM 1590.
They won't let you on FM. Come on, man.
No, that's it's on FM.
I'm joking, man. It was a joke.
It's on both.
It was a joke. Don't let those Christian radio people down in Southwest.
No, they won't let me on Christian radio anymore. That much is
anymore.
1,000% true. But yes, WCGO in Chicago, we're on Sunday nights from 7 to 9, and that's after it runs on satellite stream. Multiformat.net is where you can hear us 3 to 5 Eastern every Saturday. And then we, of course, make it available on podcasts, so you can catch it on either Apple or Spotify. There's most of the episodes are up. There's a couple that we had some issues with the audio. We couldn't upload it, but the Beeple interviews there. So the Mansion interviews are there. Our VCon 1 year celebration that we had with Jeremy Hone, who's another celebrity in the space, our good buddy that you've been so nice.
He won't
and
book
kind
a podcast with me, man. I'm trying to get him on the show because I think people will love him.
I think, yeah, of course. But we had a nice couple moments out, outside the party that you got on tape. That was pretty cool.
We've had, me, Jeremy, Mikey.
Dinner.
I mean, like,
Mr. Chow's.
Think about this.
Yeah.
We had a dinner at Mr. Chow's that's going to go 30 years from now. That's going to be a legendary dinner after we see where, like, you and Jeremy and Mikey all go to in the NFT world.
And
like,
you.
I don't know where I'm going to go, but
all four of us, man.
But just think about that. And Brittany, Brittany was there.
And Brittany, that table is like that's going to be legendary.
And I know this now. If the listeners at home don't know, Brittany's pregnant. She's having our daughter due September 15th.
Brittany, congratulations.
So when we were at Mr. Chow's, that was in what? February, March? Was that March? That was March.
Ooh.
End of March.
Was it? Okay.
Yeah, so that was the end of March. She was pregnant. We didn't even know.
Wow.
So my baby was in that belly at Mr. Chow's. So
at Mr. Chow's.
Yeah.
I was almost at the inception.
Almost. That was probably January. That was probably January 1st or something like that. But yeah, almost there. I definitely
almost there.
Yeah. Well, maybe you'll be the Godfather.
Hey, if you listen, you could name her a lot of different things. I don't think Salvatrice.
Evie Grace.
Evie Grace.
Evelyn Grace.
That's perfect.
Evelyn Grace Fisher. We're gonna call her Evie.
Perfect. Yeah. Love it. Congrats.
And then she gets a monogram. Brittany keeps telling me it's going to be EFG. I don't know. Whatever. I don't know. I thought only guys get monograms, like on like the ends of their.
No, she might do it.
Their dress shirts. Yeah. But anyway, so Sal, what's the vision for the future? I know you want to onboard 100 million people.
Yeah.
And it's basically just going to be through just interviewing people and having a lot of fun on the radio show. Is anything else in the works, or is that pretty much
for sure? Yeah, that'll be one arm of a bigger media company that does the event producing, right? So we'll start really getting serious about producing events.
Well, I want to be a part of that. That would be fun for me.
Yeah, I think it would be amazing. Well, you threw a magnificent dinner. The Hangout Hawk dinner was absolutely brilliant. A beautiful location, just
I don't think I should. Cody just got done editing that. I'll have to show it to you after the show.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about that. But it's a plan to build out a media company that starts producing broadcast television and radio content all about Web3, right? So think about. I'm not trying to give all the secrets away. What about Real Housewives? Instead of the Real Housewives of Orange County, it might be the Bored Ape Housewives of whatever, Miami, right? That kind of a thing.
Or the Bored Apes of the Discord, or the Bored Apes of, Twitter,
Yeah.
The women
and a lot
Twitter.
of entertainment is recycled, but I think this opportunity in time, because it's documenting really, it's about documenting the largest transfer of wealth, power, control, and creativity and opportunity in the history of the planet. And I think there's the ability now to single-handedly like go back to terrestrial TV and radio and help bring, retain folks there, even though it's actually stood up pretty well over time. Both formats have done really well still, even with all the digital stuff that's been happening. But what a great, kind of new spin on some of the old shows that we've seen. And now you think about Big Brother, right? Would it be cool to see a D-Gen house? Kind of like Big Brother with cameras everywhere.
Well, Posty's got one down in Florida. He's
working on it. Yeah. So it's that kind of, thought process of, okay, even though, and Gary preaches against this, right? Bringing your Web 2 brains to Web 3. But at the same time, I want to bring Web 3 to Web 2 and Web 1. I want to go all the way back. That's what I plan on doing
for the next couple of years, is kind of helping bridge that gap. Because, in my industry and stuff like that, there's nothing I can really do now. But again, what I can do is help other business owners, other projects, and
sure.
give them some advice and try to help them along the way, avoid some pitfalls that I did, in business as a rookie.
Absolutely.
Because there's going to be a lot of people that have some cool ideas that I'd love to be part of it. I don't necessarily even want to be in charge anymore. I just kind of want to just kind of feel like I'm too old to be in charge anymore. I just want to kind of go along for the ride. I want to be the influencer. I want to be the networker. I want to be the event guy.
Yeah.
I like to be the host. That'll be a lot of fun.
Maybe some business.
Sal,
you have the business acumen, so.
And I appreciate you. We're going to have you back on the show. It's 2
hours. I'm sorry.
This is my longest podcast ever.
Chop it down. Feel free to chop it up.
And what? Do it? All right. I don't know how that's going to work.
Drop anything you don't need. But I'm
not paying the editor extra money. I'm just let's let it ride. Let's let it go raw and see what happens.
Let it ride.
And we'll see. Who knows? Maybe it'll be maybe we'll get the most views and the most likes and the most subscribes. Because if we do, then that'll tell me maybe all of them need to be an hour and a half, 2 hours.
Maybe it might be a little too long, but
it might be a little too long. It's too long.
And
for
listen,
me,
we're gonna have to do it the other way too. So at some point we'll have to have you.
We got your resume.
Crypto Radio Network.
No, we got your. I'll get on the radio show.
Yeah, love to have you on, and we've got to put something together for us at some point.
Whenever you're ready,
the incubator thing.
You know me, I've been bugging you. So hey, there's 5 questions, rapid fire, that I ask every guest.
Okay.
So you get sent off to an island. It's just you by yourself. What book are you taking with you?
Ooh. At that point, wow. Man.
I have a suggestion for you, but I want you to go first.
I think one of the books, it's going to be one of his collection, but I think The Art of the Deal.
Oh my gosh. You did not.
Yeah. Yeah, I did. 100%.
So you're going to be by yourself. What are you going to need? Who are you going to need to deal with?
What else am I going to read?
The Bible. You should read the Bible.
I've read the Bible.
You should take the Bible. Not Donald. You really you threw me for a loop, man. That was so off the wall. Ooh, listen to that. Oh, big motorcycle coming by again. So I'll
tell you why. I'm on an island by myself. It doesn't do me any good to bring the 4 agreements with me because I can't implement it with anybody.
What's the Art of the Deal going to do for you? Like, you're not going to be, who are you going to be dealing with?
It's entertaining. It really is entertaining to go through.
I just had no idea. I know you're a New York guy. I get it. I never thought that was coming. He said The Art of the Deal by Donald Trump. All right. So interesting. Yeah. All right. So next question. Book. What movie are you taking with you?
Oh, The Matrix.
The Matrix. Okay. That's cool.
Yeah.
You can watch that over and over again.
Yeah. All day.
So you're allowed to pick any restaurant. They're going to build the restaurant. Anything you want. It could be something famous. It could be like hole in the wall about. Tell me what restaurant you're going to build on your island that you can just go and eat at all the time. Don't say McDonald's.
No, I would have 5 years ago, probably.
I know you would have. Here comes another bike. What is it, like 10 o'clock at night? Everybody's all the biker gangs coming down to get me, or what?
Is there a rally happening?
I don't know. What restaurant? What's your favorite restaurant?
I would take a Carrabba's.
Ooh, the Italian grill.
Yeah, I would
in
take
North
that.
Canton with the trees on the roof.
Yeah.
I actually worked there. When it first opened, I opened that Carrabba's. I worked there for 3 months. I was in between car dealership jobs in the winter. They opened December of, I think, 2001 or something like that. And I was the host, Damian Mendola and Johnny Carrabba. I met those guys.
Nice.
Anyway, all right. So we did book, we did movies, we did restaurant. You're allowed to leave the island and go on vacation. Where do you go for a week?
For 1 week, I would go to Italy for sure.
Have you ever been there?
Nope.
How about my business partner, Rob, is in Italy right now. He comes back on Monday. By the time this episode airs, he'll already have stories for us because he'll be back. But yeah, that's a pretty cool place. I've heard a lot of good things. I haven't been there either. Maybe we can, maybe somebody will book us.
That would be cool.
Us to do content for him in Italy, and maybe we can pick our production team over there.
Let's do it.
We can manifest it now. All right, last question. This is always the hardest one.
All right.
You're allowed to bring someone to the island for 24 hours. Who would it be? Who do you want to spend 24 hours with?
So it's a tie between...
No ties. Don't even bring up the second
tie.
person because then that's...
I'm going to tell you why. Oh, then I only get one shot?
You only get one person.
Amanda's not going to be happy with me at all.
She
one
won't hear
person
this
for
like
24 hours?
You're like, yeah, I'm backlogged 5 weeks. So we're filming this on June 15th, by the way.
I mean, I'm trying to think of one that's not hitched to anybody right now. And I can't. They're all married and they all have babies.
My gosh, listen to him. He wants to. What?
You know exactly what I want to do. Listen, you got one shot.
They're leaving though. They're only going to be there for 24 hours.
I know. That's what would bum me out. Is if it was somebody that I really, really liked, I wouldn't want them to leave. But I wouldn't mind.
Sal's full of love. He's a lover. He's a lover deep down inside. So who is it?
I am.
Who do you want to spend 24 hours with?
I would love to spend. Here's the truth. I would love to spend 24 hours with Justin Timberlake. That would be a lot of fun.
That's a cool answer. That's the first time that's ever been said on the show.
We are best friends. Me and him and Jimmy are best friends. They just don't know it yet.
I could see that. I think those two guys are a lot of fun. I mean, I think that's what a lot of us guys in that kind of age frame, 40-ish.
They are two of the coolest.
We all want a best friend like that. Like those guys are two peas in a pod, man.
They're two of the coolest human beings on the planet. They really are. Yeah.
Well, listen, Sal, how do people follow you? I can get a hold of you. Twitter, Instagram. What do you like the best?
Twitter's probably the easiest. Instagram is always the one that, people send me a message and a week later I'm like, crap. So sorry I missed your message.
Give us the handle.
So at Sal DiGuardia, at SALDIG. If you just do that, at Sal Dig, that'll get you far enough. And then you'll find me.
Gotcha. Instagram, what are you on Instagram? Sal DiGuardia?
Sal.DiGuardia.
Yeah.
So if you do Sal.dig, you'll find me there too.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Twitter, same thing, I think, is Sal.dig.
I can't believe it. We're an hour and 43 minutes, and I have no idea what my production guys are going to do with this. But hey, it was a really, really good show. It was fun. It was fun. I appreciate our friendship.
Me too.
I can tell. I know you've been through some struggles in your life, and I know you've been through some things. But I know deep down inside you're a really good person, and
Thanks, man.
I feel connected with you. So
you too.
I really appreciate everything you've done for me. And it means a lot because we're both starting to flap our wings in this new world of Web3, and it's really fun to kind of just let that pass, boom, what everybody thinks we're supposed to do, and then we can just do whatever we want in the Web3 space.
And then sometimes we go through seasons, right, with friends and acquaintances and that kind of thing, and so sometimes
that's going to happen in Web3 too.
That's going to happen.
It's too soon though. Like there's going to be people that we knew in May that aren't even going to be around because right now ETH's $1,100 and VeeFriends are like 6 ETH.
Well, what I trust is that I think the relationships that we've built, right? You specifically, right? You and I, that we got a really good shot that regardless of what happens in the NFT space, that you and I'll probably stay in touch for a lot longer than NFTs or crypto.
The NFT space is, it's just one of my worlds that I'm in. Sports card world, contracting world, NFT world, and it's good. All right, buddy. Have a great night.
All right, brother. You too. Thanks so much.
See you.
Thank you for listening to the Big Fish Cares podcast.